Here we have a SAT math question. Okay, let's go over the information. Kathy is a repair technician for a phone company. Each week she receives a batch of phones that need repairs. The number of phones that she has left to fix at the end of each day can be estimated with the equation P equals to 108 negative 23 times D, where P is the number of phones left and D is the number of days she has worked that week. What is the meaning of the value 108 in this equation? Okay, let me write the equation over here. That is P equals to 108 negative 23 times D. So here, to know the meaning of value 108, we find in this equation on the right side, we have to consider the variable we find on the same side of the equation. So here we find D on the right side of the equation over here. So to understand the meaning of this 108, we have to plug in some random values for this D. So before that, first we have to know what is D. Actually, D stands for the number of days she has worked that week. So since D stands for the number of days she worked in a particular week, D cannot take negative values. Even if she has not worked for 1 day, then D will be 0. So she may work 1 day in that week, or 2 days in that week, 3 days in that week. So anyways, D can be 0 or it has to be greater than 0. If D equals to 0 means she has not started work in that particular week. So if D equals to 1 means she has worked 1 day in that particular week. So D has to be D has to be greater than or equal to 0. That means D can be equal to 0 or 1, 2 or 3. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is to interpret this value 108, I'm going to plug in these values for D into the given equation. Okay, first let me plug in D equal to 0 over here. Then I get P equals to 108 negative 23 times 0. I get 108 negative. So 0 times anything will be 0. 108 negative 0 will be 108. Okay, so what if D equals to 1? So P equals to 108 negative 23 times, and we have to plug in D equals to 1. So 108 negative 23 times 1 is 23. So it's a no calculator section actually. So this question is from no calculator section. So we have to subtract 23 from this 108 manually. So when I subtract 3 from 8, it will be 5. When I subtract 2 from this 10, it will be 8. Okay, so when D is equal to 0, that is before she started working, the number of phones will be 108 because we get P equals to 108. P stands for the number of phones. So D equals to 0 means before she started working in a particular week, the number of phones left is 108. So if she worked for 1 day, that is D is equal to 1, the number of phones left is 85. So that means we multiply 23 over here. This 23 has been decreased from 108. So what do we have to understand from this stuff over here? So that is she fixed 23 phones. She fixes 23 phones in just 1 day. So totally she started with 108 phones. So if she works for 1 day, she fixes 23 phones. Then the number of phones left at the end of the first day will be 85. So I think now we can understand the meaning of 108. So when D is equal to 0, that means before she started working, the number of phones is 108. After 1 day work, the number of phones is 85. That has, she has fixed 23 phones. So clearly 108 is the initial number of phones she has before she started working. So when I go over the 4 options, option B is correct because option B says Kathy starts each week with 108 phones to fix. So she started means she has not started the work and she started the week with 108 phones to fix. So when D equal to 0, we get 108. If D is equal to 1, she fixed 23 phones in 1 day. At the end of the first day, the number of phones left is 85. So the correct answer choice for this question is option B.